3 cents on our featured topic of the day, passions and risks.
Ooh.
Guys, how far are we willing to go?
Yeah, it depends on how passionate you are with something, but this is a question that we're hearing for the first time. And I think it's important to note that passion, if you're going to define it, strong and barely controllable emotion. And then when you talk about risk, it's defined as involving exposure to danger. So when those two combine, boy, things can get interesting.
All right, okay. Everyone, of course, has something that they're passionate about, but what happens when a passion requires you to take risks?
That's a good point, Evan. Before we give you our 3 cents, we want to show you a story about a woman's passion for animals really took a turn for the worse. Lauren Posen spoke to her after a jury awarded her about $7 million.
A compassion for animals is what brings many people through these doors at the Los Angeles Animal Services Facility in Lincoln Heights.
Animals has always been a big part of my life. So when I heard that there were a lot of, most of the dogs wouldn't get out of their kennels for months at a time, it really broke my heart.
Working with animals, even as a volunteer, always comes with a risk. Something Kelly Canico knows, but she never expected this.
This animal very sadly ended up in the shelter. He loved the family very much, and his journey ended up really badly, and so it affected my journey as well.
In October 2019, she nearly lost her arm when putting Jax, a German Shepherd mix, back in his kennel. For nearly 5 minutes, the 100-pound dog latched onto her arm as she dragged herself and the dog around the facility to find help.
It's a big victory that my arm is still attached to my body.
On Wednesday, a Los Angeles jury awarded her $6.8 million and found the city liable for gross negligence.
The truth was on our side, so it was very emotional. It's been a long journey.
Her attorney says there were no warnings about Jax's history on his intake card to give volunteers like Canico a warning the animal is aggressive or known to bite.
Kelly would have been able to read the comments about the dog, or she would have been able to know that this was an aggressive dog that as a volunteer she shouldn't walk. There's no way that Kelly would have walked the dog had any of those things been done.
Canico calls herself a work in progress. She has more surgeries ahead of her, but there's one thing that hasn't changed.
I was born with a love for animals, and I will die with a love for animals.
Interesting. Even after that terrible experience she had, she's not, forever moving on from dogs. Yeah. She's sticking with her passion of loving animals, and I think chalking it up to this one bad dog she didn't know had, these issues, and nearly took off her arm. So glad she's sticking with her passions, as I think a lot of people who have run into speed bumps along the way should.
Right. I mean, I think inherently you run the risk when you do anything, and when we get in the car every day to drive on the road, we take a risk, even if it's not our passion, it's just something that we do. Yeah. But for her, it was a passion. So it shows that, yeah, she's sticking with it. We take risks everywhere we go every day. And I mean, for her, I'm glad that she got what she felt she needed. Like she said, she felt that if she had been warned on the paperwork that he had already had a history of biting or, that behavior, aggressive behavior, she could have known.
It really reminds me of those who go through a shark bite or a shark attack, and then they get right back in the water and still serve. So, I mean, that's a passion that, yes, there is a chance you can get attacked. But, I mean, who's Bethany
Hamilton.
Yeah, she did too. Yeah.
She got right back in the water after losing half of her arm.
That's right.
So
I think
inspiring.
anything that you're passionate about, any activity or sport or something that's a main hobby, you can always find something that could go the wrong way. I mean, look at us. We talk for 6 hours on live TV, and the chances of us saying something that's not good
every day.
In fact, it happens quite a bit. But
every single day.
There's also a risk where there's something that could be misconstrued or something that could get you fired. But that's not going to stop us from doing our passion.
Right.
Like it shouldn't stop these people from doing their passions.
I remember when I was in college, I had a professor, and I was like, "Well, it's live TV. Like, what do you do if you mess up?" And he was like, you just do it again tomorrow. You have another opportunity to try it again.
Yeah.
So I mean, in some sense, that's what these people are doing. Is you have a bad incident, and in that case, a really rough one. But
and even in more mundane, just like working out.
Right.
I mean, once in a while, you may overwork yourself. You may be sore or hurt your arm. It's not going to stop you from working out. Rest up. Get back to your passion.
Get back out there.
I might sit out for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's just me.
Yeah, take a little break. Get yourself healthy first before you dive back into those passions. But don't let it stop you.
That's right.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.